Welcome to the Mojo for Musicians podcast from Manny Cabo Media, where we dig deep into today's top strategies to help you take your music career to the next level with real, raw, and uplifting conversations with industry professionals that are making moves, making a difference, and making the best versions of themselves to inspire you to do the same. What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Manny Cabo, and welcome to another episode of Mojo for Musicians. All right, what's going on, guys? And welcome to another fun episode of Mojo for Musicians, the source of inspiration for musicians. And I'm your host, Manny Cabo. And for those of you newbies tuning in for the first time, welcome. And I'm beyond grateful that you jumped aboard this amazing journey. And have I got another engaging episode about what is probably the most important contemporary element in every musician's career and undoubtedly crucial to getting your brand noticed. That's right, you guessed it, social media marketing. And in all honesty, this episode alone could take up a whole season on its own, but I'm going to do my best to narrow it to the most strategic platforms to invest your time in promoting as a musician. And my guest today is a marketing guru who's going to share some of her strategies that has allowed her to build her brand of over 300,000 followers. So I'm definitely beyond ecstatic to chat with her. So, all right, let's dive right into this episode with what I feel are some of the most important things to implement and take into account when building your online presence. First on the list are my top platforms that best benefit musicians from my own experiences and from that of my musical counterparts that I've consulted with over the years. Now, bear in mind, guys, we all know 2020 has had its unique impact, an unprecedented impact for that matter, on the music industry and the world as a whole. So we've all had to make some serious adjustments in the way we conduct our marketing on all levels. And having a robust understanding of technology such as metrics and algorithms and software has been paramount for the success of many musicians, including myself. But luckily for me, I know my way around professional lighting gear and high-end cameras because of my photography career. So trust me, I know how overwhelming it could be, not only to create great content, but having to understand the technicalities of the gear in which to capture it, and then posting it, then when to post, and so on. And it could surely be a daunting task for most musicians, but we'll discuss gear in future episodes at length. So I don't want to derail the topic, just trying to support the severity of the current situation that we're all dealing with and how the power of social media can keep our career afloat, even in times of uncertainty. So for me, the most effective platforms for musicians I found to be are Instagram, but more importantly, Facebook and YouTube with OBS. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with OBS, you should be, because it's a free, I repeat, free open source software suite for video recording and live streaming that you can integrate with applications like Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, to name a few, that essentially allow you to stream your live performances with a more professional edge for both sound and audio. And yeah, guys, I know musicians have been doing very well doing it just on their smartphone, but in my opinion, when you're putting on a live show, it's in your best interest to keep the audience in mind. And I think visuals and value, especially if you're doing private concerts and special showcases, and just trying to put on a more professional production, especially now that performing live on social media has become a commonplace for musicians to make a living. So I always want to give my audience more, especially those of you that are promoting their virtual tip jars. And guys, for all you musicians who don't have one, then you're missing out on potential earnings that can help you monetize your performances. And you can create them on Venmo, Zelle, PayPal. There's a few applications out there. Just pick one. And all you have to do is link whichever account you decide onto your bank account. And I recommend having all three to cater, to individual preferences. And they're easy to set up. It's like performing at a venue.
In most cases, you're getting a stipend or tips for entertaining the audience. And it's the same thing. And I don't care if you're a multi Grammy award winning artist or a newbie, performing live is the number one way to make a living as a musician and gain followers. So you might as well put on a great show virtually and visually. And trust me, your fans will totally appreciate the extra effort. And sure, there's a little learning curve involved, but now you've stepped up your performance game, and that only leads to better performances. Plus, there's tons of tutorials that thoroughly explain the functionality. So no excuses, guys. Learn it. It certainly allowed me to perform on major radio stations like The Rat, podcast, and affiliate music programs because now you look and sound more pro. And who doesn't want to book someone who knows what they're doing and goes the extra mile? And my advice is create a private Facebook page for your fans so you can offer, special performances and perhaps charge a cover or have giveaways in incremental amounts, based on the items you're auctioning. And that's just one idea. There's so many out there. So trust me, look them up. And you'll be glad you did. And I know artists that have written songs live with their fans, and the list goes on. So yeah, definitely begin to master this combination of OBS and Facebook sooner than later. The only thing to be wary of is try to refrain from using any copyrighted material of other artists. For example, background music or sampling music from your acoustic shows, because Facebook will definitely flag it and mute portions where it's used, and worse, penalize you for extended period of time. So be cautious of the music. Trust me, I've been a culprit of that myself, not knowingly, and they will flag you. Again, in future episodes, I'll discuss programs like, Restream that will allow you to stream multiple platforms simultaneously. But this episode, I want to simply talk about and focus on the quickest and most effective platforms to efficiently build your online presence with things you can do right now. One thing I could definitely counsel you guys on is keep writing and releasing your music to get on the majors like iTunes and Spotify, Google Play, etc. Because I have to tell you, the amount of exposure an artist can get nowadays on apps like Twitch and TikTok, Instagram is just ridiculous. But you have to be in it to win it, because content creators are always auditioning new music for their videos and skits and all types of visuals. And curators are always looking for new music to add to their playlists. And I would begin scouting Spotify playlist with similar music styles and look at the names of the playlist curator and search Google. They are there. LinkedIn, sometimes I've had successes. Send them an email and explain that you love their playlist and you have music that might be in perfect alignment with their playlists. Hey, you never know. The more music is being used, the more prominent your name becomes. It's as simple as that, guys. And the more your metrics go up, and more importantly, the more the algorithm begins to favor you as the artist. So it would definitely be wise to start partnering up with these content creators to help place your music in front of a significantly larger audience. And this is where doing the research comes in. Guys, you got to do the work. And I stress this in every one of my episodes. You got to do the work. Take a few hours, scroll through your threads to see who's using your style of genre of music in their posts and start there. Hey, nothing wrong with some extra streams, especially if they're hitting the millions, And granted, musicians make nothing on streams, because they really do. They make pennies, if that. We're talking cents on the dollar. And even if you're on a label, you split that, which is comical and sad at the same time. So it's in your best interest to look at Spotify and other streaming platforms as more of a, fan building app. But every little bit counts is what I'm saying. The next one on the list is Instagram stories and short form videos like Reels. These are brand new and I'm still experimenting with them, but they're awesome. They're short videos that are not going away anytime soon. Trust me. And I suggest you start making tons of them because let's be real, social media platforms, and I mean all of them, are so saturated with content. And you combine that with the new low in attention span, people just don't have time to sit through 15 and 20-minute videos. Unless, of course, it has its place on an educational level, like tutorials. But for the most part, people want a quick introduction of who you are and what your post is about. And boom, done. They're out. So you have to master the art of catching people's attention, and you have to do it quickly. So start optimizing these features as soon as possible for both traffic and visibility. And remember, the learning is always in the process of doing. So the more you do it, the more you become well equipped, the more you understand, and the more you can actually utilize its content in your favor. So get to work, guys. And all you need to do is find and create a format that works for you. For example, are you a comedian? Do you like to educate or inspire or all the above like myself? In other words, just be yourself and do what's most comfortable for you in front of the camera. A great segue into making profits from your promotional videos is number 4, sell that swag. And it's been proven that the second best way to bring in some income is to get on the e-commerce bandwagon and build your brand by selling your merch and integrate that with apps like Instagram and Facebook, because then they don't even have to leave the program to get more of you. They simply click on an external link and voila. Plus, as with any apps, the respective apps will reward you for keeping your fans engaged. And we all know the formula. Higher engagement plus higher metrics equals higher exposure and cha-ching profits. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And sure, listen, we musicians love what we do, but we also have to eat and live, especially nowadays. And studies have proven that over 60% of consumers are turning to social media to satisfy their shopping needs. So why can't you keep the benefits of this trend? But remember, consistency is key. And I repeat, consistency is key. So forget about being perfect, because that's just, that's silly. It's stupid. Just be passionate and persistent with your content making. And that is the main ingredient to focus on, period. All right. Phew. So when we come back, I'm going to introduce to you a great friend of mine who I've had the pleasure of working with on multiple occasions in the modeling industry. And she's definitely someone who has certainly mastered maneuvering around the world of social media marketing. So stick around. We'll be right back because this is going to be a fun one.
You're listening to the Mojo for Musicians podcast. To learn more about becoming a guest on the show to share your mojo with us, visit mannycabo.com and send us an email in the contact section. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you like what you hear, be sure to give us a positive review on your favorite listening platform. And now, back to the show.
All right. So, I am beyond stoked to have my next guest on. It's fun. And, even till this moment, she's got a crazy life, but she's the editor-in-chief of Infecta magazine. She's the owner of Lady Code, which is a multi-award-winning makeup company as well as an accomplished model. No surprise there. Who was crowned Miss Virgin Islands back in 2013 and Miss South Florida in 2014. But also the co-founder of Vizcaya Swimwear. So, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome the beautifully talented and my dear friend, Lisa Opie. Hey, Lisa, welcome to the show.
Hi, Manny. I'm so excited to be here. Oh my gosh, I was listening to my intro and I forgot that I was Miss Virgin Islands in 2013. You really did your research.
You can't even keep up with your own successes. You are incredible.
That was like 8 years ago. So.
Well, it's no surprise. And you know what, man? It's certainly been a minute since our last job out in, I think it was Hollywood Hills, or was it Miami? I can't even remember. But keeping on with you, lately you've been in LA, then you've been into Lake Tahoe, Miami. It's just incredible. And I'm so proud of your accomplishments. I really am.
Thank you. You too. I mean, I'm still a huge fan of you from being on The Voice, and every time I super excited. So likewise.
Awesome. Well, listen, since I've met you, you've always had something going on. Whether it was new designs for your bikini line, makeup tutorials, fashion show, and the list goes on. But one thing I've always remembered is you consistently on that phone working your magic on social media, whether it was snapping images for your stories, quick video shouts, whatever the case was, you were just marketing and a marketing machine you were, and always engaging with your audience, which I loved, especially as a musician, and obviously which much success evidenced by your 300 plus thousand followers. So it's no surprise why I invited you on the show because in my opinion, it's relative. You can essentially grow whatever brand you have on social media if you just learn to master the algorithms, watch your metrics, and constantly create good content. Am I right?
Yes, you have that checklist down, but I think there's a little more that I do want to talk about.
Well, fantastic. Educate me. Come on. Are you serious? That's exactly why I have you on here.
Okay.
Well,
So you can check all the boxes. You can do your research, of course, interact with other brands and
right.
everything that you find online. But I think there's so much more to that. And I think it's capturing every single moment of your life and making it look a million times better than it actually is. So once you master that illusion, let's be honest, everyone is putting only the best moments of their life on social media
Sure.
and it's rewarding. So whenever I have an opportunity to do something, I always blow it up out of proportion, take a million pictures. There might be a little editing involved, but that's okay. And I think that's one way to master social media.
Well, absolutely. And as a photographer, I personally know from my own experiences, and whether it's a magazine or a record label or, whatever the case may be, I know every single image out there is Photoshop, and you have to beautify things. But I have a few well thought out questions for you that I know my music listeners will totally appreciate and be able to use to maximize their level of social media efforts. And my first one is actually a two-part question. So let's say you're a fairly new artist on the scene, and you obviously have the looks, the sound, the personality, and of course the music to be a force, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're about to drop your first EP or single or what have you, and you don't have any social media accounts set up yet, or you do, but they're still at their initial stages, but you want a solid, fresh start, of course, and you want to do it right from the get go. Where would you start? Because I hear that question all the time.
Okay, you have to start by collaborating. I think it's so important to work with anyone and everyone because if you bring in people, whether it's a makeup artist, a hairstylist, or just even editing, they're going to promote on their social media that they worked with you. So you want to be really strategic about who you work with and try to bring in people that are not only talented, but also have the following that's targeted.
Mm.
And once you work with those people, they're also going to promote. So you think you can do everything yourself, but it's better to bring other people into your team so that they promote as well and collaborate in that way.
I love it. So you're essentially piggybacking off of everybody, especially when you have this collective effort. It's a big deal. So yeah, that's a pretty valid point. And I know I've done that in the past. But for somebody starting out, they might be a little intimidated. Like I don't want to push it. Can you please advertise this for me? So I completely get it. But basically, what you're saying is get over that shyness. This is a business, and you have to really start communicating with the people that you're working with to start boasting this stuff that we're doing together. Correct?
Exactly. And when you're starting out, you can work with another makeup artist that's starting out, and make sure you collaborate. You don't have to pay them if you don't have a budget, but you can always find people that are at your level and then you can grow together.
Yeah, I love it. All right, the second part of the question is for already established artists, that have a decent following but are looking to build their numbers as quickly as possible. What are the best, most effective tips that you can give somebody who's a little bit more skilled and a little bit more in the game?
Oh, that's a tough one because I started social media in 2013, like literally back when I was Miss US Virgin Islands. I made my first Instagram account. So I was on that early train and I definitely am benefiting off of that right now where I was being reposted it on larger accounts. It was amazing, and that's where I grew. So I don't know if I can answer your question because right now my account is kind of what is it called? It's just stagnant. It's not really growing anymore. I know that my friends that are like mega influencers are getting a lot of benefit from posting on the Reels. So I think Reels has opened a door where you're making these videos. It's like TikTok, but it's on Instagram, and that's where people can find your account. Another thing to do, I don't know how to incorporate music into this, maybe by doing covers and tagging larger artists, but what us like beauty and fashion girls do, we will just buy clothes from big social media accounts like Pretty Little Thing or Boohoo, and we will tag, take amazing pictures and tag them so that we have the chance of did. And that's happened to me multiple times where I'll do a makeup look with Becca Cosmetics and I'll tag them and they'll repost me to their millions of followers. And that's one way that I've grown. So I think one way you can do that to get noticed is by doing reels of covers of larger musicians, and see if they'll notice you and repost you or even just share you on their story. I do know these twins that I know they're famous. They have like 2 million followers on TikTok, and they became famous because they did covers for Cardi B, and she reposted them on her social media, and they just blew up from.
Oh, I see. Okay, so essentially picking out artists that I know that you revere or that you enjoy performing and start creating reels. Yeah, because I've
Mhm.
started reading on reels and it's absolutely making a huge impact. And what are they, like 30 second or 60 second videos or something like that?
I think it's 15. Yeah, it's super short, but it's probably one of the only ways to grow on Instagram at this point because it's such a saturated market.
I agree with you completely. All right, that's a great idea. So I could basically recommend all artists out there, if there's a particular style boot or sneaker or T-shirt or jean jacket, leather jacket, start collaborating with other designers or other small boutiques or something. Correct?
Yeah, that, and then, just do covers or something with other artists that are much bigger that have this similar following and see if they'll repost you by just telling them that they're your inspiration.
Yeah, it's got to be heartfelt. Love it. Second question. All right. So I think you'll be a great target for this one. So, which app would you favor the most for marketing and why? And what app do you think would be most beneficial for the artist per se?
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna sound so old fashioned, but I have to say YouTube. I have made most of my money on YouTube. I have gotten most of my targeted audience on YouTube, and that's kind of what translated into Instagram. I've tried TikTok. I think I'm too old for TikTok,
Too old.
unfortunately,
How
but
do you think I
there
feel? I
is
don't even want to hear
there.
that coming
Well,
from you.
my feed is like old ladies, and I'm like, so they put me in that box.
Now, so YouTube, okay, so YouTube. Now, I flirted with YouTube tons of times, and as a matter of fact, this podcast later on for season number 2, we're incorporating the video of having my live guest. They'll be here in the studio performing, so
When
100%.
I come back,
And again,
even for 5 minutes, I want to be on video.
yeah, there you go. That would be great. That would be great. I would love to have you in the studio do that. And I certainly agree. Video is certainly more powerful than audio in itself. And the only reason why podcasts are doing fantastic now, like you said, the industry isn't as saturated, and people can't watch a video while they're driving or while they're actually engaging in some sort of work mode activities.
Hmm.
So that's one of the reasons why we're focusing on the audio aspect of this for season 1. And then, yeah, we'll definitely have you back. I mean, you're definitely easy on the eyes. You've got so much to offer. Your industry and your expertise and the way you've managed to grow your social media is just, beyond reproach. So definitely. And I'll recommend that we all get on YouTube and start making our covers and start, showing people how we are organically. And it's true. Some people still have an issue being on camera. So that's in and of itself is a challenge, but certainly something that can be overcome with practice. So definitely YouTube. All right, good. That's good to know. I had no idea. I thought you were like the Instagram queen. So that's something new that I'm learning from you.
Well, yeah, so I enjoy Instagram the most. I'm the most active on Instagram. But to properly answer your question, as far as marketing growth and monetization goes, YouTube is the place to be. But Instagram is so much fun.
All right, so I got to get my butt back on YouTube. All right, good. So let's get this is a good segue for section or question number 3 for this matter. What's your biggest pet peeve that you see people do on social media that can hinder their growth in followers, and conversely, things that you love that people do that can help your engagement?
Okay, what I can't stand, I'm guilty of using them sometimes to enhance a photo, but these presets that people are using from Lightroom, I don't know if you've seen them, Manny. Have you seen?
Yeah.
Where
Let me tell you, I don't even want to go there because, I start getting enraged. But anyway, I'll let you finish.
they're so bad. Like they turn
Yeah,
your face orange. There's just no texture on the skin. And I'm just,
right.
how does this look okay? And I know that on the feed, when people go to your feed and they see that top 9 square, it looks amazing. But nobody looks at your feed as much as you do. And you have to remember that. How often do you go to someone else's account and look at their feed and you're like, oh, it's cohesive, so I'll follow them? Nobody cares about that. So just post the picture, post it the way it is, and stop obsessing over your feed, because I promise you, no one's really looking.
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. I'm glad that you could actually, confirm that for me, because I'm taken back at some of these feeds. I'm like, what were you thinking? I mean, they look like porcelain dolls. And then,
Yes.
you know what I mean? And then here's the thing, though, as an artist, it is our goal to represent ourselves accurately. So if you're going to an audition, whether you're a musician or an actor or somebody, and they're looking at you and they're like, wait a second, this isn't who I looked at on social media. And then they got to really do a double take on Instagram. Like, hey, wait, is this really you? Because it's not you. So it's kind of a question of integrity at that point. And I do agree. Some people take it way too far out
Yeah.
here. So question number 4, finally my last, and this is my signature question of the show. Like what's your mojo? And as I mentioned before, like, why do you keep faces glowing, and designing bikinis, and of course upholding the responsibility of always, constantly engaging with your supporters? Because I know you must be exhausted, especially with all the traveling that you do. And like I said, you could probably travel from here to Jupiter 10 times over on your miles.
Oh yeah, definitely. I have a lot of airline miles there for upgrades. So I fly first class. That
I see the pictures, and they're properly organized and composed and touched up. All right, I get it.
yeah.
But what's your mojo? Like, why do you do this? Like, this is a lot of work, Lisa.
It is a lot of work. And what got me started in beauty pageants and everything was the bullies who told me I was ugly and that I'll never be a model. And I was like, let me prove them wrong. So I definitely figured it out. And by the time I reached my success and got my titles, I didn't care about the haters. I was like, who are these people? I forgot that even happened. But also, I feel like there's two parts of what keeps me going. I feel like one is, of course, the joy and happiness that I bring into people's life once I do their makeup or once I do a shoot with them. They're so excited, and I love bringing that happiness and joy to them. And I love every
Sure.
one of my clients. So I definitely operate on love. But another part that really keeps me going, where I'm like, I have to just stay elevated, is like the people that want to see you fail and the people that are jealous. And I'm like, that's where I really need to make sure that I
I
will
love
never
it.
be placed. I have to show up. I have to shine up, and just keep going.
Wait. Let's rewind. Show up and shine up. I love that. You should trademark
Exactly.
that. That's great.
Yes.
So I have to interject here now. This is interesting. So your impetus to keep going stemmed from the bullying and the anti-hate. And you know me, I'm completely against it. I've written songs, won awards, done campaigns on anti-hate and anti-bullying. So when it was happening, you could have easily quit, and you could have said, I'm throwing in the towel. I can't take the pressure. But what actually got you over that hump? I have to ask, because this is huge. And there's a lot of people out there going through what you're doing, and what you've been through.
Yeah. So this is not something I really talk about. I'm not really ready to open up about it. But there was a phase where, I was experimenting with cutting, depression,
Sure.
drugs, things like that. And this was way back when. But
Mm.
during that time, I lost a very close family friend. He ended up passing away through a drunk driving accident. He was underage. And
Mm.
I was at the same event in a car with another drunk driver. So I knew that it could have been me. And when I found out he passed away, that's when I realized, like, I need to turn my life around. So he's my guardian
Wow.
angel now. I feel like he was the one that was like, Lisa, you can't stay in this direction. You have to go in another direction. And that's when I just like cold turkey turned everything around and went on the right path. So
So you had one of those epiphanies. I'm sorry for your loss. And I just lost my dad to COVID on December 1st, and I got to tell you, I'm still PTSDing throughout the whole experience, so I can only imagine what you went through, and I appreciate you sharing, and I know that's difficult to do, but sometimes, I've realized in my own experience that we need to face our fears because it's truly what we're made out of. That's when we realize, all right, who am I? Like, what am I capable of doing? And I can sit here and embrace the sadness and make excuses, or I can literally pick myself up and focus on the goal at hand, which is improving my life. And like you said, forget the naysayers. So good for you. I'm proud of you. It's an incredible story. And again, I appreciate you sharing that with us and sharing your time above all. I mean, I hear you all over the place, and I'm seeing you, as I said, all over the world, and that's fantastic. And I know you just recently got engaged too, so congratulations on that.
Yeah, I'm sure you just heard my fiance. He was just closing out a meeting, so he said thank you. So yeah, that was him in the background. He's tuning in.
All right. Well, tell him I said thank you for sharing you with us. Listen, Lisa, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate all the knowledge that you've afforded myself and my listeners. And a lot of it's so indispensable in terms of what can be done to propel your career. So, wishing you much abundance, and I will probably see you on another shoot somewhere.
I can't wait for everything to open up. Thank you so much for having me on this show, Manny.
Absolutely.
I'm so sorry. I'm so busy, but I'm glad we made it happen.
No worries. Listen, there's always a way. There's always a way
Yes.
with Manny. Thanks, hon. Have an amazing day, and wishing you the most of successes. You take care.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
This has been a Mojo for Musicians podcast. If you're a musician, producer, engineer, or any other industry professional wanting to share your mojo and stories of success with our listeners, or just want to share some feedback on today's episode, we'd love to hear from you. So just send us an email at info@mannycabo.com. Thanks for listening.